on Team Flash. So let's just jump right in. We'll bring in our newest guest to the hosting desk, 𝘀𝘀cie. You're coming in, and you're coming in for what is expected to be the biggest stomp of the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, I chose a great time, I think. A great time to be a Team Flash fan. Let's go. I'm here to see the upstate happen today. No, I mean, look, we're all expecting servers to have an easy day today, but I'm here to get some Team Flash representation. I'm hoping to see a good fight today.
Now, in the past, I've had the old hype train that sits behind me, and 𝘀𝘀𝗶𝗹𝗀, your thoughts on the hype train? How derailed is what started off as a hype train?
Did Flash ever have a hype train? No, I don't think it did.
No.
We've had the rookies coming in. They've generated a little bit of buzz in the fact that they looked fairly solid. They have not won a game, but they've looked fairly solid, especially in the early stages. So I think it shows good signs for the future, but I don't think it's going to help them out too much this split.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go into matchups then. Cerberus against Flash, because Team Flash have had a couple of changes to the roster recently. They brought in Marcus for 𝘂𝗏 in the top lane, 𝗀𝗏 coming on in for 𝗀𝗵 as well. What have been your thoughts? 𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗹𝗀, I'll go to you first on this one. What have been your thoughts of the two new rookies to the team, and have they added anything to Flash, or have they actually taken away something?
𝗀𝗏 and 𝘂𝗏 or Marcus? Because there are
𝗀𝗏 and
at
Marcus.
least three.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So-
𝘂𝗏 counts as well, but I'd
Yeah.
seen 𝘂𝗏 before, like in week 1, so I wasn't counting him.
Okay, so I think overall, Marcus hasn't done too much in terms of top lane pressure. He's been fairly good, but 𝘂𝗏, as an individual, was fine. The big change is 𝗀𝗏 seems to be getting out a lot more on the map, have a bit more lane pressure than 𝗀𝗵 used to. And I think that's led them to be able to actually create early game advantages. They haven't been picking particularly strongly for that, which has bit them, especially when paired with alongside Dante on Graves and such. But their early games have looked a lot better with the new team in. Yeah.
𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗆, to go to you, I want to take this on maybe a more fun note. Cerberus, we talked about Artemis and how Artemis likes to play fun champions. He brought in the Caitlyn, or he was playing the Xayah when everyone was on Jhin MF meta. Then he brought in the Caitlyn. Everyone's adopted that. We saw him playing the Vayne in week 1. Yesterday, it got even crazier when he pulled out the 𝘁𝗏. Are there any champions that haven't been played yet in the VCS and the ADC role that you would like to see Artemis pull out?
I mean, I'm actually a big fan of the Caitlyn recently, where Caitlyn Jinx is kind of the go-to in the bot lane. I would love to see a Ziggs maybe as an answer to the Caitlyn as well, which I don't believe we have seen so far. I don't really think Artemis is going to be the one to pull it out, but that would be a pick that I would love to see. The 𝘁𝗏 was something that I would also love to see again, although I wasn't the biggest fan of it. He did definitely deliver. So yeah, that's for Artemis. I don't expect him to pick anything new today, but he might just surprise me.
Well, we'll have to see. 𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗹𝗀, and any fun ADC champions that you think could sneak their way into picks and bans?
I mean, with Artemis, it could go just about anywhere. I think I don't have his thing up in front of me, but I'm fairly sure he's played Vayne this split. He played 𝘁𝗏 yesterday.
Yep.
The guy is willing and capable to just sort of pick whatever AD carry he wants, and the team plays around that. They leave him the R5 pick very often, and hey, he's delivered.
Yeah.
I do believe he played Vayne actually in his first series, because I was coming in, still relatively fresh to the VCS. I was like, okay, what's this hype about Artemis? And then he picks in a Vayne for me, and then he absolutely pops off as well. And as a result, he became my favorite ADC within a split second. However, just like that, we are also heading into picks and bans, fellas. Cerberus against Team Flash. Cerberus over on the blue side, Team Flash over on the red. 𝘀𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀, take us away. And 𝘁𝗀𝗋, we're seeing this Graves being locked in first pick for the side of Cerberus. Are you surprised that we're not seeing maybe the Victor being first picked up instead?
I'm surprised by the Graves. I'm not a big fan of the Graves. Not sure if Victor was the pick to go to here. I think Jinx personally is kind of the blind pick, or the first pick even to go to. And so far, nobody really wants to pick it up. Victor, yeah, very, very strong at the moment as well, but more. There's better counters to the Victor than to the Jinx. But Graves, to be quite honest, don't really like it for 𝘂o. I think 𝘂o, not really what he's been like. The playstyle I would love to see for him is to have something that can help out his bot lane early on, right? Get Artemis into the game, and Graves not really a champion that can do that. Graves just wants to farm up, which is like the Viego. 𝘂o has played a lot, but yeah, I don't really think it's a good fit for him and for the way that Cerberus wants to play the game.
And 𝘁𝗶𝗹𝗀, I want to touch on one pick that we haven't seen yet. We've seen one ban towards it in yesterday's series, but no pick so far. That's the Nocturne. And if okay, yes, we've seen DNK play it once, but we haven't seen it since Axiom Arc has come out. Was it without? Okay, fine, never mind. Ignore me. Apparently, you're muted, which I'm actually I'm semi-glad at that because you brought up a stat that I really wanted to bring up, 𝘁𝗶𝗹. So, okay. Well, either way, we've got a Rise coming in 𝘁𝗀𝗋 as well. There's a lot of roam potential for the side of Team Flash with the Blue Mage God.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's a good pick up here. They banned out the Twisted Fate themselves because they didn't want Cerberus to pick that one up, but Rise also able to impact those side lanes, which could be very, very important, right? There's two ways I think Team Flash can approach this game. Either they snowball everything but bot lane, or they just completely destroy Artemis in that bot lane. And with Dante and Marcus being at least okay in the 2v2 against 𝘀𝗰𝗋, I think I still think Dante has to step up massively to stay even with Artemis. So playing towards that bot lane would probably be favorable for them, is my own opinion, because then he gets all the assistance, and if they keep Artemis. If they keep Artemis down, then they definitely have a chance to take over the game, especially with something like an 𝘂𝑎𝑢s that can, of course, take over the game, snowball out of control, and later on do massive damage in those team fights.
And it's something that we've talked about regarding Cerberus, something I brought up on Cast yesterday. If you want to beat Cerberus, you need to get Artemis down, but 𝘀𝗀xe showed that you don't always have to play that way. They're able to generate leads on other sides of the map and actually match a fed Artemis on a Jinx. So getting Artemis isn't always the be-all, end-all, 𝘁𝗶𝗹𝗀.
Yeah, no, getting Artemis fed should be fine. Shouldn't be too much of an issue in this game because yeah, 𝘂𝑎𝑑u is on this Victor. He's very capable. They have 3 carries all on the top side. Artemis doesn't need to be the big star today. But across the map, sure, you're looking at fairly strong lanes coming out from Team Flash, but then you're probably looking towards the player diff as well.
I know we've got this Camille being locked in as well, 𝘁𝗋𝗋. Camille against Jack in the top lane is seeming to become almost a staple of the top lane meta here in the VCS.
Yeah, we've seen it quite a lot. I mean, both are very strong picks. Camille especially very strong in the current meta, and Jack's just the standard answer. You can match Camille later on. Early on, you have a decent laning phase, so no surprises there. But I think looking at the whole compositions right now, I would already favor Cerberus with their Camille getting pressure early on, especially if Pan wants to take the Ignite. Not sure if he actually wants to do that. But then in bot lane as well, you have Team Flash on a more scaling bot lane. Jhin can be very, very annoying to deal with in the early stages, and I think they're just set up for success. You have stronger lanes early on, and then can secure their Graves some time to farm. And Dante, he might have to be very careful with someone invading his jungle.
Now, I'm going to throw a question to you, and that is on whose draft do you prefer? And I swear, if either of you bring up, oh, Cerberus are better because it's Cerberus, I'm going to be mad. So I just want to hear this as a purely an analytical perspective on the draft, removing the logos.
Cerberus will still have a better draft, I think. I mean, the Graves is a little bit wonky, as you don't have the most super early lane pressure coming out to really facilitate early invades and really get the Graves rolling. But I think if you don't win in 15 minutes, you're probably gonna lose the game.
Yeah, I can only
𝘀𝗧𝗏?
agree. No,
Okay.
hard agree on that one.
Well, it seems that we've got a mini timer for the side of a team Flash. We'll see whether they can flash out a win, as 𝘀𝗀cie will be jumping in to join us in the casting booth. We'll be hearing more from 𝘀𝗀cie and 𝘀𝗀𝗶𝗏 at the end of this opening game. And 𝘀𝗀cie, what do you make of the drafts?
I like Team Flash draft a lot, actually, for considering what I usually expect from them, because usually they are playing. Yeah, I mean, we all know that, like from nameplates alone, that they are not as individually skilled as Cerberus is, but you don't want this to be brought up as much as the other times. And usually with less experienced players, you have smaller champion pools and are then somewhat shoehorned in the draft. But I like that they are going for the scaling approach here. But of course, there is this fear that they just get smashed in the lanes and then never get to even scale, because I mean the bot lane is not favoring them, the top lane is not favoring them. They have Graves against 𝘀𝗀 coming up against them, and that really does not speak well of them.
And one thing I do want to touch is I quite like essentially what Team Flash have done this split. And no, I'm not talking about losing 10 series in a row. The fact that they essentially said, okay, first half of the split, we're going to be playing with the more veteran players of 𝘁𝗏 and 𝘂𝟇𝑛𝑜, and they tried out 𝘁𝗏𝑚 as well. And then in the second half of the split, they said, okay, you three, you've had your chances. Now we're going to let Marcus, Jarvis, and Arte play for the remainder of the split.
Yeah, I mean, just try to fling everything at the wall and see what sticks, right? I mean, you are not getting relegated the split, so you can just try every iteration possible you have there. That's also something that I think 𝘁𝗏𝗶 put up on the endless desk a few days earlier, or 1 or 2 weeks by now earlier, and also giving 𝘂𝟇𝑛𝑜 some sort of break, right? Because I mean, this team is expected to likely lose maybe all of their series, and it's very tough on the mental, especially if you're a star player like 𝘂𝟇𝑛𝑜, to just fall victim to that. And also gotta give credit where credit is due to Marcus, who has played surprisingly well considering the situation he is in. And just now we see it again that he is also very fond of abusing the early strengths of the Jax, even in the Camille lane, where he is not expected to win. He can punish the level 1, level 2 power spike he has there on this champion and Pan. Right now, not struggling very hard, I would say, but he was definitely having to show some respect to Marcus there.
He was, although that being said, I think he was able to come out of the trade slightly better than Marcus, at least Marcus not looking as healthy than or compared to 𝘁𝗏. But so far it's been a relatively quiet start to the game, both junglers starting on their bottom sides of the map. Maybe we'll be seeing some aggression between the pair of junglers towards this opening 𝘁𝗏𝗏 and towards the top lane.
And 𝘂𝟐 just used his quick draw. I'm not sure if 𝘁𝗏 knows it, because 𝘁𝗏 might just find an opening, because there's also priority coming up from Jetsu. So 𝘂𝟐 already has to wear the flash.
Jarvis ends up flashing into the end
Yeah,
of the line. Another hook shot coming through, but it's cancelled by Dante. He's forced to flash, and it's going to be first blood going over to Marcus. Dante steals the soul. Hook shots in towards 𝘂𝟐. Jarvis on the run. 𝘂𝟐 just looking for a couple of auto attacks, but the Rune Prison will lock 𝘂𝟐 down. Now there's a teleport coming in as 𝘁𝗏 wants to rejoin the party. Dante gets the kill. Dante steals the soul, but 𝘁𝗏 will be able to pick one back up for the side of Cerberus.
And that's a great start for Team Flash, I would say, or rather a bad start for 𝘂𝟐 in particular, because he was not really up to the task there. He was using his quick draw earlier, had to flash away defensively, and the priority was coming out from both solo lanes on the side of Team Flash. So they were earlier to the party than Cerberus was. With the TP, it was a little bit short of disaster for Cerberus, as they managed to salvage it a little bit and get one kill back on their own terms, but 2-for-1 Flash. Very good start for them, especially on the scaling comp, and I wonder if they can keep up the pressure, because they don't really need to do that, but it would be a helpful thing if they can keep putting pressure on Cerberus, because you don't want to have some sort of how do I say it? I mean, you want to keep them up mentally and be a little bit in their heads, because usually the strong teams are very resilient to tilt.
So 𝘂𝗀 now looking towards the 𝗀𝗏, and this is how the replay unfolded. And that Rune Prison just really stopped Cerberus from being able to find anything else in this play. I tell you who does come out happy. Never mind, we come out of a replay, and we've got a dive
Oh
coming
no.
up as well. Oh no, how does Pun get out of this one? He's going to hook shot, but he's still going to get tagged by the Counter-Strike, and it's going to be a kill going the way of the Flash. And 𝗀𝗏 just gets executed.
Yeah, that means it makes it worthwhile again for Team Flash. Of course, 𝘀𝗀 gets a little bit of free farm, a little bit of plating time in the mid lane here, but like this, you just got the execute going for 𝗀𝗏, and there's another 1-for-0 trade on the side of Team Flash. And they are doing a great job of putting this Camille behind against the Jax, and if you can manage to pull that off, the Camille won't have fun against the Jax at all in the later stages of the game.
3 kills to 1 for Team Flash. They find themselves nice and healthy. Okay, so I want to touch on something else, because both 𝘀𝗀 and 𝘁𝗶𝗶 brought up in the analyst desk after picks and bans that essentially Team Flash have a timer. They need to be able to get a lead in the early stages of the game. And I want to touch back onto something that I brought up yesterday, actually. No, sorry, the day before, when Team Flash lost 2-0 to 𝗀𝗏. The early game doesn't seem to usually be the issue for Flash. They're usually able to do relatively well. Okay, sure, there are games, there are series where they come out behind and they get giga stomped. But there are also many games where they're actually able to come out ahead, and you think, okay, you know what, Team Flash have a decent chance. So I'm not feeling too bad that Team Flash have the entire identity of let's win this early game, let's stomp this early game, and they're playing to that win condition fairly well at the moment.
They certainly are. I mean, scaling wise, they're also more than fine, I would say, still. I mean, of course, 𝘀𝗀 is going to be a problem if he gets like the Victor Power Spike, the Glorious Evolution coming in with the 300 stacks, and him upgrading all his spells, becoming a weight boss with his Unofficial Queen and his other semi-defensive items in the Zhonya's Hourglass and the Cosmic Drive. But overall, you're still here with a very solid composition on their side, I would say. You just need to have like, maybe fight like a little bit away from the Victor, and they're just now are doing it with the Well coming in.
Ignite dropped onto Marcus, Rune Prison onto 𝗀𝗏. 𝘁𝗀 picks up the kill, and Team Flash are indeed snowballing this bottom lane. All of the summoners gone now for the Cerberus duo in bot, and Team Flash could also look towards the Drake now as well.
Definitely can. And just now again, they get another play going on the bot lane. They still funnel in some free time for 𝘀𝗀, which is like a little bit of a worrying sign for me. But I mean, they are playing the map as good as they can. They are getting those leads, and they definitely are a team that hasn't had a bad early game before, as you just mentioned. And now just is the time where we have to look at if they crumble in the mid game as they usually do, or if Cerberus just take them again in the mid game apart. And with the Infernal Drake coming up now and Cerberus being in a very good position to finish it off, maybe that's like the first signs of life on the side of Cerberus, because if we are completely honest, this does not look like a 10-0 team playing against a 0-10 team so far.
It does not indeed. Team Flash putting up a fantastic showing in the early few minutes of this game. But then again, if I remember correctly, no, sorry, it wasn't Flash who put up I think Flash put up an okay showing against 𝗀𝗏. I think it was in game 1 of their series for like the first 10 minutes, and then things started to look a little bit iffy. And here's a replay of how this went. Oh, yes. Two things going on at the same time. We love it, 𝘀𝗀cie.
Yeah, we definitely love it. And now we see maybe the throw of Team Flash here. Artemis getting his first kill of the game. And you don't want to feed Artemis. We have said it countless times again. He is a star player of this team or of the league even. And he's on the Jhin way. He's not like the most useful asset to your team you could ever have. But Jhin getting ahead of 𝘂𝗀 is a necessary thing. 𝘂𝗀 early got the kill. So just now he just breaks it about even against him again. And maybe they just get another play onto 𝘂𝗀.
Yeah, and Dante was looking to try to steal stuff away. Out comes a deadly flourish. Dante's going to eat the shots. 𝘂𝗀 picks up a kill. Marcus is on the run, and he's got Arte nearby. But these are just 2 members of Team Flash against our 4 members of Cerberus. Make it 3 members of Flash as 𝗀𝗏 joins into the fray. Flashes over the wall, but he's just going to flash into a terrible fight. Cerberus are going to get 1 kill. Now they look towards 𝗀𝗏. They pick up the second. And this is what we talk about. Team Flash, sometimes they're able to get those early leads, but it's these really bad macro mistakes, let's be honest, are just letting them down completely.
Definitely. They just funnel into this Jin cone. Adam is also a very nice aiming of the pizza slide. They could also almost hit Marcus and get another shot off. They just didn't quite manage to do it. And Ego also surviving with a sliver of HP there. And like this, Herald fight is also one on the side of Cerberus. And now they are looking again like a top team against a bottom team. Earlier, that was not so much the case. You will see the replay again. Dante very far in with the Vigo, uses his flash and his Heartbreaker defensively, so he doesn't really have any combat powers. And they just need to run here. They cannot really get anything in the fight going on. And they also realize that, but they realize it too late. Jin also very good in this situation because he's still very strong in the early game and can keep following up with his that flourish to get snares off also well with a very good engage here on the side of 1OP, of course. And it just keeps rolling on the side of Cerberus here. They just keep getting kills. And with the first Herald, they are back in control of this game, I would say.
Well, they've got a 2,000 gold lead, so I think the gold would agree with you in that regard. As Ego sees Dante on his blue buff with 𝗀𝗀𝗋𝗋 coming through. This is the aggression we want to see from Team Flash. Room Prison locked down, Ego taken down. And Team Flash showing that they still have a life yet.
They still have life and they also still have Wise. And Wise is very good at punishing the jungler if you are in a position to do something that you just did on the side of Jarvis, where you just use the 𝗀𝗋𝗋𝗋 and just roam literally into the enemy jungler and just keep snaring him with your Rune Prism. And Ego almost managed to survive because he was close to getting the collateral damage off and getting knocked back behind the wall there, but he was not quite in range for it. And Graves is a mobile champion, but not mobile enough to escape this kind of situation where the Wise and the Vigo just collapse onto you. And I like that Team Flash stays proactive here. I mean, they are in a losing position by now again. But they keep at least making plays and they aren't really like losing without putting up a decent fight.
Well, I mean, in terms of the kills anyway, it's dead even. But Jarvis has made so many roams, and he's been consistently leaving lane. He finds himself 20 CS down on his mid lane counterpart of 𝘀𝗀𝗋, which is not the best of signs. 𝘁𝗏 now looking
again.
to go in. They're going to be able to find the knock up onto Ego, and Ego is taken down, beautifully executed by 𝘁𝗏 and Team Flash.
Definitely. And yeah, I need to start criticizing Ego here because when he is down his flash, he just keeps overextending here. I mean, he did the same thing yesterday on the Viego in the first game, and maybe it's just first game jitters or first game disrespect coming out from him because this is something that we do not want to see from one of the better junglers of this league, I would say, or maybe even the best, considering how far ahead of the curve you consider Levi to be. And Ego, I mean, he keeps being in very awkward positions in these skirmishes, and Flash likes to punish that, of course. They have been down 2k gold earlier, as you mentioned, but just now, even that gold lead was cut in half by Flash, and just by getting 2 quick picks onto Ego, and it was definitely not necessary, at least in the second skirmish where Ego just dies. He, of course, gets DP'd on, which doesn't make it easy for him, but the Wakala engage would have coming out anyway, and there would have been enough damage to finish off the kill, even without Marcus joining here.
Something else I want to bring up is the fact that while all of this is going on, yes, Team Flash are finding kills. They're not lying down and letting themselves die. They are still giving away quite a lot of gold. I mean, we saw Pun was able to get first tower in the top lane while all of that happened, get a push as well. So Cerberus are always still acquiring something of value despite Team Flash picking up these kills. And now Cerberus are going to take this Drake and Team Flash not going to contest. However, Dante on the top side of that defense is going to buy some time for Pun as the Drake is secured and Dante will have to retreat. And Marcus will be able to push in this tower, pick up some plates for himself.
I wonder what the plan here is for Pan really, because he's not really allowed to play League of Legends anymore. He's already 20 CS down in the matchup where he gets outscaled against the Jax. And Dante also shadowing this lane so much that he cannot even step up back to his turret and just has to drop CS to just not get dove here, also losing turret platings to the Jax. I mean, just now it looks like Cerberus' plan is to just face the Viego into the Jax, which is something that sounds a bit bizarre, but is actually doable right now because Victor is surprisingly tanky. And yeah, maybe Yado is a better option against the Jax, but now because he can almost one-shot the wave with his Death Ray and just at least buy enough time if he gets dove to trade like 1 kill back in a situation like this where Dante would shadow his lane. And Viego also, with the concentrated queen in the current stage he is in, is starting to become a bit of a weight boss in this game if he gets as much free from as he has had so far. He's 30 CS up against Jarvis. Jarvis, of course, with many 𝗀𝗋𝗋𝗋 bombs where he at least got some takedowns going on for his team, but Yado is definitely step up to success this game so far.
Now, I want to bring up a question, and maybe this is a week too early to do so, but we are in the penultimate week of games. So I think it'd be a somewhat appropriate thing to bring up. Who would essentially be, if you could have an all-star team, who would be on it?
That's a very good question. I think I cannot say Yoshi anymore because he's, of course, not playing, but I would likely. 𝘀𝗀𝗃, definitely.
Yeah,
Artemis is an AD carry.
of course.
Mid lane, I might still say Yado. And jungle, I would probably still take Levi. And support, could it be Taki, or would I still take 1 OP? I think I would take 1 OP because I would keep the bot lane synergy.
Fair. Okay. See, I was very tempted to. I would have said Taki, but I agree. I think keeping the bot lane synergy is also very smart. I see Yado is fantastic in the mid lane, but for some reason I've got half a mind to say Glory, but he's not had the greatest of splits, I guess. Either way, I'm interested to see come the end of the split what the all-star team is. As Jetsu just getting run down by Yado. Yado has flash, will go over the wall. Death Ray, Jetsu is Death Ray down. But Dante says, hey, did you kill my ADC? Yes? Well, my mid laner will kill you.
And 1-for-1 is definitely worth for the Victor side because of his Glorious Evolution passive. As I keep saying in every cast I have where Victor is, because Victor is just that big of a deal right now in the current meta. He just now got a second upgrade because he got another takedown there, 25 stacks to his Glorious Evolution passive. And yes, you get 1 kill on the Vice, and this is also very good for Jarvis, who can do something with the gold, definitely, as a champion who needs a lot of gold. Has very expensive items. And actually, I want to see if he goes Fimbulwinter this time and not the 𝘂𝗏 and Wave, because he has a tier and also Ruby Crystals picked up. The Ruby Crystal, of course, can still go into 𝘂𝗏, and here we see how this play happened. He was just catching them on a recon. That was, if I might say, a very greedy recon of Jetsu. He maybe thought, worst case, I just flash, but Yado also has a flash on his side, so he can just follow it up with a Death Ray. And yeah, Yado likes to have these 1-for-1 trades on the Victor for sure.
And Jarvis had to burn his flash in the process, so it was 1 flash for the side of Cerberus, for 2 flashes on the side of Team Flash. We have a second Rift Herald up, and we know in the Vietnamese Championship Series how much we love Rift Heralds. In fact, I think it's just 𝘀𝗀𝗃 who are the only team who don't really have this tendency towards coin flipping for Herald. In it goes.
Cerberus wants to fight it.
Onto Dante. It's a pretty decent Magnet Storm, and everyone's just grouped up. But Ronopy is going to get taken down, and now Yado starting to do his work. The engage comes through. Hookshot's going to give another kill over to the side of Cerberus. Marcus will get shot down. Jarvis being shot down, and Artemis will pick up a kill. It's a triple kill for Yado, and Team Flash, they look for the Herald, and all they will find is the death. And a safe passage back to... Well, no, it's not a safe passage. Just a passage back to their fountain.
And I think Cerberus just won the game right there. I mean, it was a 5-4-2 fight for them. Yado has ascended on this victory in this fight. I mean, triple kill for him, assist on the other two. Adam is also in a great position with a great curtain call coming out here for him. And gotta highlight the one most important carry player here, which is, of course, as you know, the support. Great Magnet Storm engage coming out from 1 OP, and they were all cluttered on the side of Team Flash. Here we see the replay again. Hexing Ultimatum doesn't do that much here, but here we see the engage from 1 OP. I mean, crash down into Magnet Storm. They are all clumped up. Dio gets 1 reset onto 1 OP because the well is not that tanky for support, because you can just attack her pretty easily, and if you focus her, you can at least get her down, and Viego can also do some great tank damage to her. But I mean, it's a Viego who then takes over the well, and then it's also the well that has to be in the middle of Cerberus and just easily dies again, so there's no reset city coming really out for Dante, and it's a very easy fight when you're from ahead here. Also, the Wombo combo kind of is there with the Chaos Storm on top of the Magnet Storm, and Graves just dishing out so much AoE damage, and there was not really much that Flash could do. They can at least take 1 Drake here, but I think the fight, if they take a 5v5 fight, they might just be doomed.
Well, they take the Drake. They're going to take a kill as well. Do they look for more? The teleports are coming in. Marcus locked down by the Hexic Ultimatum. Will leap his way out of the hookshot. But now the turn, they're looking to try to find the damage on to a pun. Going golden is Dante, and he's just going to get taken down as he comes out of stasis. As we see, Yado still trying to dish out the damage. Jarvis, is he going to be able to find the kill on Ego? He can, but he's going to die in the process. What can Marcus do? Oh, dearie me. That's going to be a gale force forward. And sadly for Marcus, he will be dead. Again, it's another 5 kills going the way of Cerberus. And Team Flash just get 2.
At least they got like the small silver lining in the mountain break here, but as I said before the fight even happened, they are pretty doomed if they have to take 5v5s, because it's just so much damage coming out from Yado, so much space they can control in these fights with the gravity field, with the Chaos Storm, also with the Jhin. If he is in a correct position that Artemis knows how to play AD carries, we know that for quite a while now, they can really easily control these fights here. And here we see how they play it. TP is coming out from both teams, Tactical Ultimatum, at least to buy some time and not get Jax really into the backline here. And Marcus has to counter strike, jump out defensively. And here we see Dante forced to stopwatch early, and Dante is on the Vigo. He's somewhat tanky, but not really tanky because he just has some HP from the Divine Sunray. And here we see that it's just easy follow-up kills on the side of Cerberus. And here, Yado, I want to highlight here again. He's on the Victor with the Crown of the Shattered Queen on the current patch. He's just so tanky. The middle champions have to basically run away from him because he just deals that much damage without taking any of it.
And 𝘁𝗀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 got the red and white guns a little bit late in that fight, sadly for him. And even when he did, he just wasn't able to find much work with it. And maybe if he was, that fight could have been a bit different. Maybe Team Flash would have, at the bare minimum, got another kill. But either way, we're at a stage where Yado and Artemis are so darn strong right now. 6-1 and 6 on the Victor, Artemis 5-0-9 on the Jhin. They're practically untouchable.
They definitely are. And with Victor, maybe somewhat literally. He had some major Soul Stealer coming out now, so maybe he's like a global pound of 14 Flash, and maybe they just managed to focus everything onto him and bring him down once. But this will also not be so easy. Here we see in the side lane how he just casually kills a Jax. I mean, Jax is the 1v1 duelist champion, aside from maybe like Camille and Fiora, and the Victor just kills him. He like wins duels and also wins team fights. It is absolutely disgusting how strong Victor is right now,
And he's only
and
got
on this
2
patch in
items.
particular. I mean, it's 3 items.
Well,
I mean, the Magus is a whole item by now.
true.
It also counts as a legendary, so you increase your mythic passive, and it's a 14 stack Magus by now. It was 10 before. It is a foul item, I would say.
Yeah.
At least though with the
That's
40 stacks
reasonable.
it should be.
You know, Runner P being engaged from, but just goes golden to deny the engage. And Team Flash are forced to retreat. The curtain call comes through. 𝘁𝗀𝗃 will be able to grand exit his way out and won't take the 4th shot, which would have killed him, as the Baron is secured by Cerberus.
Yeah, it's easily secured by them. I mean, Dante was alive, but he wasn't really in a position to really contest the smite. I mean, even if he gets into the pit, maybe he just makes a suicide mission and there's like 2 kills coming out from Cerberus and they can easily win any kind of fight. But I mean, there was no chance really for Dante there. He didn't have his dash, didn't have his flash, didn't have his ultimate. Gotta say, so Pan, he had his ultimate but couldn't really use it there, so he just gets picked up here at an aftermath. Not really synced recall there on the side of Cerberus, so a side of dirtiness on them that they are not really in a synced up recall there is something where they give up 1 Baron buff for free, and better teams would definitely punish this. And against Team Flash, it's probably not something that matters very much, but I don't like to see this on a team that's 10-0.
It's been not the best of performances from Cerberus. We were expecting this to be a dominating result, and Team Flash came out swinging in the first few
I mean, it
minutes.
is.
And, well, I mean, there's not much 𝘁𝗃 can do, really. He just eats a laser, takes, I forget what the Q is called, siphon power to the face, and he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. And here's something we see rarely. That is a Baron empowered with Herald Charge, because usually you don't have Baron and Herald at the same time. Here we see it is actually quite strong, but it wasn't really synced up with a wave. So it just takes out the Nexus turret with the next wave coming in. And yeah, Cerberus retreating now. They took the inhibitor somewhat early, I would say, but I mean,
Oh,
yeah, so
this is
far they're probably
dirty.
fine for them.
Magnet Storm, and down goes a Dante. Chaos Storm is dropped, and 𝘁𝗀𝗃 will fall as well. They're chasing for Jarvis, but Jarvis will be able to get his way out. Flash forwards with the Rune Prison, not going to be able to get the lockdown, and now it's on Marcus. But again, Marcus has barely any damage to the Victor because of the Crown of the Shattered Queen. Marcus trying to tank up the shot as the 𝘁𝗃
And
Ultimatum
they don't even need to kill them. They just need to chase them out so they cannot really defend the base. Yeah, they just finished the game right now. And after a somewhat strong start for Team Flash, considering what we expect from them, I mean, Cerberus just take them apart in the mid game again.
Yeah, and after about 10 minutes, it didn't look like Flash were ever really going to contest Cerberus. A solid start to the series, I guess, for Cerberus. It could have been better, but at the end of the day, they pick up the win, and that's what matters. Obviously, still a game 2 remaining, 𝘀𝗀𝗃, but Team Flash, I guess they've got some straws that they can hold on to and try to improve on for the second game.
Definitely. And I want to see Ego performing better in the second game, despite him being on the winning side, as per usual on servers, of course. I haven't been too fond of his game one. I want to know if it's really like game one jitters, game one disrespect from him, or if he just maybe wakes up 10 minutes before the game that happens in some other leagues I cast, or if there's like something else going on for Ego, because it doesn't really depend on the champion. He just had a bad Graves showing. Yesterday it was a bad Viego in game one, but Ego, I mean, he needs to clean up some stuff on his side, and Cerberus as well. I mean, the decent recall coming out for Camilo was something I didn't like. But yeah, 14 Flash, I mean, there's some silver linings definitely to take here. I mean, the early game was not too far off. And with a different draft, this draft wasn't bad at all, I would say. They can definitely challenge at least like the middle of the pack teams in the VCS later on.
And I mean, just to go back to what you were saying, maybe he doesn't play any league games before a series, so his first game of the day jitters as well. But with that, 𝘀cie, we're going to jump on into a short break, and when we return, we'll be getting 𝘁𝗺ć's and 𝘁𝗁's thoughts on that opening game of the series. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks, to the VCS English stream. We've just seen game one between 𝘀ash and Cerberus. Cerberus able to take a win, and I wouldn't say it was the most dominant of wins, 𝘁𝗶𝗹𝗀, because the first 5 or so minutes felt a little bit sketchy from Cerberus.
Yeah, Cerberus managed to, 𝘀ash managed to punish Ego in the early game very well. Made their way into the jungle, tried to punish there. They did, and yeah, throughout the entirety of that early game, up until that second Rift Herald, it was looking fairly good for 𝘀ash, being able to make sure they were punishing Ego, in particular, catching him out time and time again. But when it came to those 5v5s, yeah, that's when it very quickly turned right back around.
And 𝘁𝗁y, your thoughts on that series?
Yeah, I mean, the first 10 minutes looked really good for 𝘀ash, and I'm gonna be honest here, Pan and Ego, they did not look good at all. Marcus and Dante were just way better. The whole top side was falling apart for Cerberus. In the end, though, didn't really matter. You had the Victor, you had the Jhin, both just completely running away with the game. And as soon as it came to the 5v5, Cerberus just showed why they are the top team, why they are currently undefeated in series at least. Because as 5, they looked like a completely different, not like a completely different team, but even stronger than individually. I think that is kind of their biggest strength. They have Artemis, as I said, and then they have the team fights. And in team fights, they're just the best team in the region, I believe. And well, they showed that, and through that, of course, then got the win.
Well, I'm starting to get excited for our big series this week on Sunday when 𝘀amm take on Cerberus. I mean, if Cerberus don't lose, technically it means nothing in the standings, but it would give either team a lot of confidence heading into playoffs, 𝘁𝗁𝗶𝗹.
Sorry, I muted myself again. Yeah, undefeated good. If you can keep that up going up against 𝘀amm, that's going to be the big one. If you can beat 𝘀amm and stay at, like, it'd be 12-0 at that point, you're looking to probably just say, you're really looking to knuckle down, get that, and because undefeated splits, it's never happened in VCS, and they're fairly rare outside of the LMS, where the 𝘀ash Wolves just destroyed the region time and time again. But yeah.
I mean, we did actually see it in the PCS last split. I believe PSG Talon went 18-0, but either way, it would still be incredibly impressive if Cerberus could stay undefeated and carry that momentum into spring split of 2022. Okay, so I want to touch. We spoke a little bit about the top lane. 𝘀𝘀𝗋, I want to go to you, your thoughts on the bottom lane, because there were moments where Dante was getting. Oh, sorry, not Dante. 𝘁𝗀ecie was getting caught out, and he's got a tendency of essentially being caught out, sometimes on his own, sometimes when he's got his support alongside him as well.
I mean, I said it before the game as well. I think the big problem that Team Flash has to stabilize is their bot lane 𝘁𝗀ecie and Arte, and it wasn't really the biggest problem, I feel like, because in the 5v5s they were getting pushed down by Cerberus again and again, and that was it, because it happened twice and then the game was basically over. But yeah, if 𝘁𝗀ecie and Arte are able to stay even, or even maybe with all the support they got from time to time, get a little bit ahead, just stay in the game, then Team Flash were kind of on the path to success, because the rest of the map was in their favor. It's just that Artemis was able to then, as soon as he got those first 2 kills, I think it was around top lane when they actually swapped lanes, that he got rolling, and that was the point where it fell apart. So if 𝘁𝗀ecie and Arte, I think, are able to stabilize, then Team Flash actually have a pretty decent chance in that second game. Maybe they want to prolong those lanes a little bit longer. They don't want to allow Cerberus to get into those 5v5 team fights. But apart from that, it looked pretty decent. It's just that they need to stabilize their bot lane a little bit more, I think.
Stabilize the bot lane a bit more. 𝘁𝗶 looking over actually towards the mid lane, because Jarvis coming in to replace 𝘁𝗺, another one of these new players on the team that we've been touching on, against 𝘂𝗀, who is arguably the best mid laner in the VCS. He actually had a decent performance, but he was roaming so much that 𝘂𝗀 just got a free goal lead over him.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to take into account the extra gold coming in from the runes, because First Strike, it does give you a fair amount over the course of the game, but just really strong showing, able to get out of lane and work alongside the jungler to find those picks and get Flash to a fairly good start. But yeah, as we said, Victor's kind of cracked and was able to have a much bigger impact once the fights came. So I'm not disappointed in Jarvis, but it's hard to match up to 𝘂𝗀 on such a strong pick.
If I can
Okay,
actually chime in there, because I think Victor, not only as a champion, is really, really strong, I think it also really fits how Cerberus is playing the game and where their strengths are, which is the 5v5. And Victor makes it really easy to control these team fights a lot better with all the zone control that he has, with all the range that he has. And I think, therefore, it's not only a good pick in the current meta, but it's also a very, very strong pick for Cerberus in general.
Well, as we head into picks and bans, that Victor is still open at the moment. We'll see whether Team Flash want to lock it in straight away. We've also actually got the Caitlyn open as well, 𝘁𝗶.
Yep, sorry, the Caitlyn is open still. There's still a couple of bans left to come through, but if we see the Caitlyn, okay, Caitlyn's removed, we could see Artemis just go default straight to the 𝘁𝗀𝗋. If you pick up 𝘁𝗀𝗋 Victor, you've pretty much guaranteed a victory, unless you completely throw a level 1 sort of lead. But with the Vex ban, there's a lot of strong picks left on the table.
Yeah, I completely agree. 𝘁𝗀𝗋 is going to be the first pickup, so there would be the possibility to just go for Victor 𝘁𝗀𝗋 here if they want to do it. 𝘁𝗀𝗋 especially going to be a good pickup if they want to pick it away from Flash, now that they have already secured the 𝘁𝗀, and that puts them to success. As 𝘁𝗀𝗋 said, that's pretty much going to be a game-deciding draft, because it's just so strong in Cerberus' hands especially.
And that 𝘁𝗀𝗋 first pickup. Actually, last game we saw it was the Graves. As now a Lucian's been picked up. And I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing the old Lucian Nami meta coming back on in.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly strong decision here, because you've got Caitlyn banned, and that's been the big counter pick for the majority of the VCS, and you know your support matchup is going to be that 𝘁𝗀, so you might feel fairly comfortable running this combo. I don't think it's fantastic anymore, because the range from 𝘁𝗀𝗋 and the wave shove can still sort of limit your ability to really pop off and make this lane come together, but yeah, there's the 𝘁𝗀𝗋 and the response.
And 𝘁𝗏𝗆, this Jinx has got a lot of safety courtesy of that Thresh as well. Once we saw the Thresh, it was either going to be, the Jinx, or maybe we would have been seeing the 𝘀𝗀𝗎𝗔. But the Jinx is open, a solid pickup. But into this Lucian, lane maybe needs to be a little bit careful in the early few levels.
Yeah, needs to be very, very careful. And I would love to see a strong jungle pick to go with that, because then they could really terrorize this bot lane. I don't expect it, because we never really see Ego go for these early aggressive junglers, and it's not going to be the case this time as well. But Nami and Lucian together against Jinx and Thresh, with both junglers being on scaling picks, I think Artemis and 𝘀𝗀𝗆 definitely have a chance to just completely take away the whole lane and completely, take the game with it.
Yeah.
And maybe this 𝘁𝗏𝗆 pick can be so strong as well. Actually, running even with the first strike runes can get so much gold income.
Yes, similar to how the Graves wants to play it out in a way that I think you're really now looking to secure very strong solo laners. So if you can get the advantage, you should be able to let Ego do whatever you want, push in, steal as much CS as he can, and then try and offset the issue of Ego getting a little bit over aggressive and dying. But hey, if he dies, maybe he can trade back with that passive now.
And 𝘁𝗆𝗆, so far, this 𝘁𝗏𝗆 we've seen played once in the VCS, and that was actually day before yesterday, when Levi played it against 𝘀𝗏𝗆, and he was able to pick up a win with it. So the stats are looking good for 𝘁𝗏𝗆, at least against Team 𝘀𝗏𝗆, and this is just going to be a case, surely, of Ego just power farming, hitting level 6, and then pressing R every now and then.
Yeah, to be honest, that's very much what Ego did the last couple games. It's just that he was punished quite a lot in the last game as well. So I think that's not only a positive for Cerberus, that they have this late game insurance with the 𝘁𝗏𝗆s that they don't necessarily have through the Lucian. But for Team 𝘀𝗏, it could also be an angle to punish this 𝘁𝗏𝗆s. You have Graves that can definitely, if he gets the help from his lanes, can definitely look to go for some invades to punish the fact that 𝘁𝗏𝗆s might struggle against multiple opponents if he's found in the jungle. So what I want to see here is Team 𝘀𝗏 going for aggressive lanes, mid and top, to find some pushing power, and then they can go and punish, as I said.
And they give you a Yone. It definitely can become a threat, but I don't think it's really got that early lane pressure that you really sort of want to pair up with the 𝘁𝗏𝗆s. But they feel fairly safe blind picking it as well. So hey, we're gonna see what Yada can do on it. As I'm worried they're gonna default to a Renekton pick up against the Camille, but it is a strong lane.
It's banned.
Better.
You're in luck.
Better, but then I don't know. Okay, 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆 it is. We're going full late game.
I have heard tales of the Renekton being picked up in weird situations, but it is indeed going to be the 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆, so some extra safety, but also I feel like some pushing power if it is going to go in the top lane, which we probably all expect, right? Yone in the top lane, not really a thing right now, although it could potentially be. They're not swapping. Wait, I'm kind of excited here if they actually want to play the 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆 into the LeBlanc. Nah, they're just baiting me here. But yeah, I actually like the 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆. But Team 𝘀𝗏 also have drafted themselves some chances with a LeBlanc, paired up with the Graves. They can do some heavy damage, especially against the 𝘁𝗏𝗆s. LeBlanc should be able to get some pressure early on. And yeah, the Camille against 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆 is going to have a difficult time early on, especially the Camille. So that's kind of the safety insurance that Cerberus drafted. They have a pushing bot lane, they have a pushing top lane. It's just that mid lane might have to follow up on where LeBlanc roams a little bit. But all in all, I think they're good to go here. Cerberus should win this one.
And something I want to touch on, 𝘁𝗆𝗆, as well, is actually 𝘁𝗆 on this 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆. He's the only player in the VCS who has played with the 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆𝗆, having won both of his games with the champion as well. So it's one that 𝘁𝗆𝗆 has a fair bit of proficiency with.
Yeah, it's definitely one of his go-tos when sort of he needs to pick something and he's looking to play the weak side. I mean, which is generally all the time, let's be really honest, but I'm a fan of it in coming out in certain situations. In this case, it does provide a little bit of lane pressure because it's 𝘁𝗀𝗆𝗆𝗆 and it's a little bit ridiculous. And then it also lets you scale very nicely, gives protection for your Lucian so he can play very aggressively. Heck, all three of these carry threats want to be trying to jump straight into the enemy team. So I'm very happy to see it compositionally, and we'll see how it plays out.
Well, we are heading on into the Rift. And 𝘀𝘁𝗶𝗹𝗀, thank you very much. We'll be catching you after this game. 𝘀𝘀cie, welcome back to the stream. And, you know, as I sometimes do, I like to greet my color casters with a lovely little stat. So, the statistic that I'm going to give you is Artemis, his Lucian is technically, or I should say statistically, his best champion. He has 2 games so far on the Lucian. Do you want to hazard a guess as to what his KDA is?
Let me just start with a easy 10.
No, it's 26.
That's a bit higher than that. I wasn't that good at estimating it, and yeah,
It's pretty disgusting, isn't it?
it definitely is. And he's now in a Lucian nominate, which is definitely setting up for success. And he also maybe needs to carry, because actually overall I'm not that fond of the Cerberus draft here. I like the 𝘁𝗀𝗃 as maybe like a band-aid fix to have like the pushing top lane, as 𝘁𝗀𝗃 also just said on the desk. And this mid-jungle duo is so weak in the early game, actually. And the one Team Flash to make some move there to punish it, because picking Yone blind is very, very cocky. And he also got the LeBlanc counter pick for 𝗁𝗏 now going on, and this is a very good sign for Team Flash. And now also eyes are going out to 𝘂o, of course, because he had a very rough game 1, both today and yesterday, and now he's again on a very weak early game jungler, and he needs to control himself a little bit, because 𝘂o likes to go for aggressive moves surprisingly early, and on the Karthus, he of course cannot do that.
𝘂o on this Karthus needs to play nice and sensibly, just farming up his camps to the best of his ability. Both junglers starting on the bottom side of the map, and you can already see the difference in clear speed. 𝘂o already into his top side jungle, Dante having just made his way over to his Raptors.
At least there was like no flash or any other summoner spell blown for the side of 𝘂o. I mean, I've seen some Karthuses in the jungle go smite exhaust to just deny a potential all-in onto him, and now we see a hook collar onto Artemis.
That was
26 hit
really
of
good, but
40.
Arte just dies!
What? Okay,
You
Lucian
can't
Nami,
even
by the way.
blame him for that!
You somewhat can, because you know Lucian Nami should never be open, but here we see why it usually isn't. And
Oh,
they just keep
Artemis!
going in. They have all its
Wait,
lows.
there was still an exhaust available? Oh my god! That
Yeah,
just feels wrong, 𝘀𝘀cie.
It does feel wrong. It's a surprising damage spike coming out from the 𝘁𝗀𝗃 Nami when you had like the additional proc going on, and it surprised us, and it definitely also surprised Team Flash there, because they definitely were not ready for that. I also thought level 1 usually favored for Jinx first there, because of the range advantage and the AoE damage from the rockets, where you can just raise to level 2 and have like at least their little power spike going on for you. They also had that. It was also respected by Artemis and 𝘁𝗏. But with the hook landing, I thought that was like one angle where 𝘁𝗀 and Artie can punish, but apparently that was not the case, and Lucian Nami is just that good.
It was an insane hook, a perfect zap, great flay. The only thing that they could have done was 𝘁𝗀 dropping the exhaust, but as you mentioned, it's just catching Team Flash off guard. I really hope you get a replay of that, because I just want to see just how much damage, where the damage came from, because that was absolutely disgusting. Okay, here we go then.
Hook lands, zap also lands. That's like some damage coming off the ignite. But Arte, I mean, his health bar just dropped so quickly. It's just all the Nami damage with the 𝘁𝗀𝗃. Also, there wasn't even the ignite on their side. It was just every damage that Lucian and Nami have combined on their side. And with 𝘁𝗃𝗃, it is just that much. And Arte, I don't know if he's running like HP or armor wounds, because it looks like he's very 𝘀𝗃𝗃 fresh, even for fresh standards, and he's also a Guardian fresh. I mean, you usually don't run Aftershock on this champion, so he doesn't get as tanky if he lands a spell as a Leona or Nautilus would maybe be, and like this, he somewhat quickly falls down.
And Marcus having a good time playing the Camille into 𝘁𝗀𝗃, which should be 𝘁𝗃𝗃 favored if I recall correctly.
It definitely is, and especially with TP Ignite against TP Flash, you should be very much ahead in combat set, and this is also one of the banned fixes against the Camille, as I said earlier. The Renekton was banned, so actually in this very draft, it would have been okay to pick Renekton here, because you don't really play on the top side anyway, and you need to like have some stabilizer against the Camille early game, and there were so many picks banned. But here the 𝘁𝗃𝗃 definitely fits the bill in that regard. And they also needed like something to stabilize because of this mid-jungle duo that would maybe fall apart if the top side was also a lane that would get pushed in against 𝘂o, and 𝘂o just now he's doing more than fine, I would say. He hasn't died in the early game. He's level 5 already. Is up in CS, of course, against Dante on the Graves, because the Karthus has one thing going on for him in the early game, that is a very high clear speed, and we have seen it also earlier where he was like mid lane together with 𝘀𝗀 and just pushing the lane up, so there's no freeze coming out for �jarvis, and also like some shared XP, and just now he missed a kill in the bot lane.
Yeah, 𝘁𝗀 able to get a kill, and 𝘀𝗀 is so far forward. Has the exhaust and flash available, so I wonder if that came up just after the kill.
I wonder too, and maybe we see the replay of it, and here we see 𝘀𝗀 going on for the mid lane 1v1. And there's
How
Karthus
did he
ultimate
not
coming
pick
out.
a tower shot?
I think there was some shield tanking it up, and here we see they nearly missed, they did miss a kill onto �jarvis there, but at least they get the Dark Harvest deck going. But all jokes aside, this is not a good showing of 𝘀𝗀, because the 𝘀𝗀 has a very high cooldown, and you don't want to blow it to not get a single takedown there. That might just be the demise. And here we see the bot lane skirmish. It was hook into 𝘀𝗀, and then the choppers are coming in, and this still works on the side of 𝘀𝗀, especially with level 3 and later. You have the choppers as your additional CC spell there, and that makes it a bit easier to just kill the Nami and make some 𝘀𝗀 out of her.
Aqua Prison, maybe they'll make some sushi out of 𝘁𝗀, because 𝘁𝗀 will fall. It's a quick kill going the way of Cerberus, but 𝘀𝗀 flayed under tower, and Artie's going to have to flash to get himself out to safety. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Marcus running for his life, but the 𝘁𝗀 will just lick him up. Gonna dash out to safety as well with the Abyssal Dive, and then he just stands and laughs at the members of Team Flash.
That was huge for the top side, actually, because Marcus also burned his flash while dying. If he would just die, I would maybe even defend him a little, because 𝘁𝗀 just did disgusting with the ignite coming out of him and the high dueling potential and the stinkiness that 𝘁𝗀 has. But he also called up his jungler for it. Dante doesn't get the kill to pun in return, and in the bot lane we saw how well the executed dive was. But here we see the replay again of what happened there. Hookshot into 𝘁𝗀, some damage coming out from Dante, but not that much. And I mean, this was basically everything that 𝘁𝗀 could do there. He only could manage to flee offensively there, because otherwise he would just die there. So he just chose to kill the one who deals the most damage to him, which would be the Camille. And yeah, he managed to do it with all the dueling power 𝘁𝗀 has, and gets out because Graves damage is not that high yet. He's only on a Vamp Scepter and 2 longsword. That's not that much to just kill 𝘁𝗀. Would have his shield, would have steel caps, and could just escape with the Abyssal Dive himself.
Well, Artie and Dante looking towards his mid lane, spotted out by a control ward, so won't be able to get the gank. Never mind, 𝘀𝗀 just goes in, forces the distortion from �jarvis, so can't even be collapsed on us. That's just going to be the culling in the bottom lane. Nothing a Jinx can do in a 1v1 against 𝘀𝗀 this early in the game. And I guess Artemis is looking to extend his current KDA of 26 on the champion.
Yeah, he's at 29 right now, and he also like blew half the culling into the minion wave, and he was still able to get the kill there, which is a very much worrying sign for 𝘁𝗀, of course, because half the culling is apparently enough to just kill him there. And Artemis, of course, knows the limits of Lucian very well. It is, as you said, he has such an insane KDA on him. He has the Nami to have him help out in the mid game. He also scales surprisingly well as long as he has an enchanter going up with him. And here we see again how he just gets killed there. I mean, Lucian with some mobility spell can just run down 𝘁𝗀, and 𝘁𝗀 knows there's like really no escape. You cannot really run away from him. You just get killed to death there anyway. Might as well just farm some minions or get some trade damage back. But it is, at the end of the day, very fertile for him, of course. At least in CS, he's keeping up against Artemis, but that's basically the only thing going right for them here.
Artemis doesn't have a lot of mana. He's got to get taken down. The final rocket comes through. It's a shutdown for 𝘁𝗀. 𝘁𝗀 will die in the process, but I think he's more than happy with that 1-for-1. In fact, it was actually the Requiem from 𝘀𝗀 that was able to snag 𝘁𝗀 down. Now he's making another fight.
Okay for Cerberus again.
Fate Seal diving over the wall is 𝘀𝗀, and Pun looking to follow Dante. Forced to flash over the wall. 𝘀𝗀 going in. He's going to be able to find the knockup. Forced to a flat flash back, and now Pun on the run. Tries to go over the wall, but Pun's just going to chase him down, lick him to death. Dante, goodbye. 𝘀𝗀 has also fallen. Marcus now on the run. Pun attempting to find the licks of doom. 𝘀𝗀 locked down in the 𝘁𝗀 ultimatum, but the Abyssal Dive will drop down, find the knockup. You can't run from the River King.
Yeah, you can't. 2-for-1 on the top side here, coming out for Cerberus. It was actually huge that they managed to kill 𝘀𝗀 there on the side of Team Flash, so there would be no Herald taken on the side of Cerberus, which would have been probably more important than these single kills here. Here we see maybe 𝘀𝗀 going down. He's not that mobile on the Yone.
𝘀𝗀.
Oh, he gets a kill to
Arte gets the kill. Wait, no. Was it just
The
the
def-
empowered auto?
I think it was the wall from the box. With the box wall deals
okay.
damage when you enter it, and he was snapping back into the box, and the box has a surprisingly high amount of base damage. This was at 200 damage and some decent AP scaling for the Thresh. Here we see this topside skirmish again, where they were killing the Camille. Of course, good damage coming out from Pan. Also, I like how he hits the knockup because it's not that easy. Abyssal Dive is a very telegraphed ability, and Marcus should see it on the ground, but he just had to run and run as quickly as possible, so he cover some distance there, and he just ran into the knockup, which is very unfortunate for him. So Pan makes the best out of the skirmish, and he is dominating on the 𝘀𝗀𝗃 pick very much. I mean, the pick in general very dominating, but he is absolutely smashing Marcus, and Marcus just died the third time to him. That's very unlucky.
Pun and his glorious tongue absolutely murdering Marcus in the top lane, and Pun getting revenge for what was a very shaky performance in game 1, at least in the laning phase against Marcus, and now this 𝘀𝗀𝗃 4-0, nearly 10 CS up as well. 𝘀cie, you know sometimes when you cast and you come up with in your head a really good reference and you think, oh, I'm going to use that one in cast, but then you think it might be wasted on the cast. Maybe I should wait until I'm casting, you know, like Worlds or something. You know how you have those ideas of like, yeah, maybe?
Yeah, sometimes when I happen to get a good reference in my head, but this is a very rare occasion.
So I've got one in my head, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I should save it for later. But then I thought, you know what? There's no time like the present. So I've got one that will be coming up at some point. So I'm just getting everyone ready for it because it's a pretty good one, if I do say so myself.
I hope I will not disappoint you and will definitely understand the reference, because if it's something about Artemis, I might just not get it anyway. And let's hope for
it's
the
a
best.
movie reference. It's a movie reference.
Oh, that's dangerous to play with me because I'm not a movie kind of guy. But anyway, I wanted to say something nice about the 𝘁𝗀𝗃 Arte 2v2 earlier. I didn't really get to talk about because there were so many other skirmishes going on, which is a usual VCS occurrence, of course. But I liked how they still got to get a 2v2 kill against the 𝘀𝗀𝗃 point, and 𝘁𝗀𝗃 and Artie getting to be 2 kill right after I said that there's not much going on right for them is, of course, something that exposes me a little bit. But gotta say, 𝘁𝗀𝗃 and Artie played this 2v2 very well. They only died to the Requiem, which is, of course, good for Ego that he gets a kill there. But I mean, they played the 2v2 overall very, very fine.
Oh, that is beautifully played. Good flash from 𝘁𝗀𝗃 as well to deny the tidal wave. Requiem! Arte falls. I don't even know what killed him. Was that the burn from a Liandry's?
Maybe the Dark Harvest proc coming out together with the Requiem. I think that was it.
Felt a bit delayed.
𝘁𝗀𝗃?
By the way, it might actually be 𝘁𝗃, to be fair. However, if Ego's gone 𝘁𝗃 over Gathering Storm, I think we've... Wait, it's... Yes. 𝘁𝗃.
I mean, 𝘁𝗃 is for strong on the VCS, especially when you're on servers, and I mean, you wouldn't really make much use of Gathering Storm because the game only lasts 20 minutes anyway, so might as well take 𝘁𝗃. Here we see another 2v2. I just was praising them, and now they get another 2v2 kill. I mean, it just fits perfectly, right? 𝘁𝗃 another kill onto 1OP.
Wait, this is a replay. Oh, wait.
𝘀𝗀𝗃. Yeah, one hook and she dies. Yeah, it was a replay.
Yeah. It was very nicely done. Everything synergized beautifully. The 𝘀𝗈 into the zap, and then the box dropped down as well. That Nami's is not going to be able to do much.
Certainly, and what she can do is flash before the hook comes out, but 1OP probably didn't see it through the brush there. The correct play there would, of course, be not to standing too close to the brushes if you don't have vision there, but 1OP very confident in his mechanics. Maybe a tad too much, I dare say, but overall, as I said, still a nice 2v2 performance from both teams overall, I would say. Maybe 1OP the least out of all the 4 players here, because Artie has been landing hooks, 𝘁𝗀𝗃 has been playing fine in the AD carry matchup against Artemis, and I can't really criticize Artemis much here as well, because he has played very, very fine onto the solution pick so far. What I only can really criticize the Team Flash bot lane is like the very first death they had against the 𝘀𝗀𝗃, where they were underestimating the 𝘁𝗀𝗃 proc coming out from 1OP. But that can happen once. If it's just this one time, I think that's very okay for the bottom team.
9 kills to 5, a 5,000 goal lead for the side of Cerberus, and we talked about this mid lane, about how it was Jarvis getting the counter matchup of the LeBlanc into the Yone. I'll be honest, Jarvis hasn't done much countering so far this game.
He hasn't, but he was outplaying him in like one or two of these top-side skirmishes we had earlier, and 𝘀𝗀𝗃 hasn't really been part of this game so far. He has only been really like farming up his shield bow so far, which is of course very dangerous on its own, because Yone is very strong with the shield bow Infinity Edge power spike he might get later on, or as he just now builds. I think he just builds the Zeal item second, and this will maybe be the mortal reminder for Yone or Yasuo players usually. And Lethal Tempo, Yone and Yasuo are very dangerous on this patch, as we keep saying it, is the attack speed scales the cooldown reduction of the Q below them. So the Q of Yone and Yasuo scale with attack speed. And here we see another 2v2 in the bot lane. And Artemis is out of mana, he needs to recall there.
Super Mega Death Rocket almost tagging onto him as well, and I think that might be the bot lane tower falling the way of Team Flash with the next push. Meanwhile, Cerberus on the top side of the map, they're looking towards the Rift Herald. They've been able to pick up the first Drake of the game and looking to add to their collection of objectives.
Speaking of collection, there's also something else trying to be collected on the side of Ego and just approves his namesakes to some extent. He has Magi's, but he has 3 stacks on the Magi, so he just built it early because he knew he would likely get some takedowns later on, I guess, because the Magi's is not very cost efficient at the current time, and I think this might just be a little bit of a greed situation for him. Maybe he just wants to flex on Levi a little bit, because Levi will be his next opponent. He is known for his cards, rightfully so, and here we see the top lane skirmish. 𝘀𝗀 still has a long time, he can buy some time here, and the TP comes out.
Hextech Ultimatum drop down, eventually 𝘀𝗀 will fall, but it requires so many members of Team Flash to be able to get the kill, all 5 of them, in fact, and that just shows how tanky this TK is. I remember when I was casting with Rebel and we got our first 𝘀𝗀 of the VCS, and you're saying, you can't kill a 𝘀𝗀, essentially, and that's what you need to be able to kill one.
Yeah, I remember that cast actually. He was really trying to make fun of you for suggesting you kill the other members around him and then focusing the 𝘀𝗀 down.
Yeah.
Because that just doesn't happen from time to time. And in this game, it also this is a very unlikely scenario. I mean, just now we saw Cerberus. It was actually kind of bad for them. They used a TP to try and save 𝘀𝗀. They used the Requiem also to add like some damage. And the TP from Yada was a little bit funny. I mean, he TP'd in and then he just had to run out, had to use the Fate Seal defensively to just get out there himself. And they just watch as 𝘀𝗀 slowly dies, gives away the shutdown. And this is the reverse clean, I would say, from the side of Cerberus. We expect better of them.
Oh,
and
God.
as we say that, yeah, welcome to 𝘀𝗀cie army in the mid game. It's not even Imperial Mandate yet, by the way, for 1OP. It will get even more discussed.
Dante knocked up, Jarvis trying to join in, finds a fair bit of damage onto Artemis, forces him out. Abyssal Dive coming through, 𝘀𝗀 on the chase, but he's not going to chase it too much.
It's not going to chase it too much, but it might just be the tier 2 turret push. They have the AD carry down on the other side. 𝘁𝑁k not very high wave clear. Graves a little bit, but he's not around for this. And the Herald will deal a lot of damage to this turret here. Maybe they get even a charge on the tier 3 turret, because Dante is also zoned out of it. I mean, they can just keep going here on the side of Cerberus, and this is a very lethal push, I would say, from the Rift Herald. If Cerberus just keeps going here, and I think they just go for one charge and then back off, because they really don't need the tier 3 turret now.
Okay, Abyssal Dive will take 𝘀𝗀 over the wall as the side of Cerberus just sort of retreating for now. No objectives on the map for Cerberus to secure. They've got Baron up in just over a minute, but the next Drake is in 3.5 minutes, which will be their 3rd Drake of the game if they can secure it, and would take them on to Mountain Soul Point.
Yeah, it would be a mountain Drake, which is of course nice to have against the 𝘁𝗀, but let's be honest, Jarvis not really that much into the game, and here we see again how 𝘁𝗀 died against Artemis. I mean, here we see they are like 1 screen apart, roughly, and Artemis very soon just managed to get the kill there. Movement speed
The
empowerment, of course, for them. I can hardly blame 𝘁𝗀 there. I mean, how much distance was just covered by 𝘁𝗀? It's absolutely insane. I mean, just don't go out of base, lol, is probably the play here for 𝘁𝗀, I guess. Or just hug the turret and stand like roughly a flash distance even behind the turret to just take the wave with your rocket launcher. But he wasn't even that hardly overextending there. I mean, it wasn't.
There you go. If you want to be... If you want to stay alive, 𝘁𝗀, you need to be a screen away from Artemis, and you need to have Arte 2 screens away from Artemis to give you a lantern.
Yeah, that's what you need, because I mean, otherwise 𝘁𝗀ie just chases you. Relentless Pursuit is taken literally there. You also, just as you said, had the Gale Force offensively there, Nami with her movement speed buff, and yeah, the culling alone like covers a very large distance, so 𝘁𝗀 really has to be very careful. Also, maybe it would have to go Gale Force yourself, but as a Jinx, you also like the Kraken Slayer very much, because once you get going, you really get going. Deal a lot of damage there, and Yado...
Oh, Yado is overstretched. Flashes over the wall. Dante will look to chase with the quick draw. Yado going to go into the brush. Could he look to back? Could he look to turn this around? He's going to get a knock-up. Does he have the damage? No, he doesn't. Marcus joining into the fray. Requiem drop down. Will get a Dark Harvest stack onto Dante, but that is all. Just the kill going the way of Team Flash.
It's of course very worth for Cerberus, right? They trade 𝘀𝗷 for another Dark Harvest stack onto Ego, but I mean, I'm not really fond of this Yone pick at all. I mean, he's also not showing that he's like some mechanical genius on the pick, and so far it hasn't really worked out. It's Cerberus basically playing 4v5 right now, and Yone really just needs his second item to really get going, get the 100% crit chance going for him, and he's shortly off that, I would say, and just now you just see him in the side lane buying some time for his team and not really getting anything done for the side of Cerberus. At least with the Requiem, yeah, Ego gets one Dark Harvest deck, but you still, despite the Yone being pretty useless right now, you don't want to trade a whole life for one single Dark Harvest deck. So Cerberus, if they really want to make a statement on 𝘀𝗀 before facing 𝘀𝗀, they kind of are not doing that right now.
We'll see what does happen when we come to Sunday. So for this game, at least, 𝘀𝗷 seemed to be the only questionable member. Game 1, it was a Pun and Ego looking a bit weak. Game 2, you could say maybe Ego and 𝘀𝗀. Maybe Ego's played okay. He is on the Carthage. He's not going to have much pressure in the early stages of the game. Abyssal Dive from a Pun looking for the fight. Death Sentence will be able to snag onto Pun. The engage comes through. Hextech Ultimatum will follow 𝘀𝗷 through the Fate Seal, but Dante will fall. Over the wall goes Jarvis, trying to find some poke damage as the rockets are flying up from 𝘁𝗀. Artemis still practically full HP. 𝘁𝗀 not being challenged, not being contested as he continues to dish out the damage, dish out the pain. Death Sentence is avoided. 𝘁𝗀 going to be able to take the Lantern, flashes away. Now the Requiem is channeling. This is going to blow up at least 2 members. No, Jarvis going to be able to stay alive, but burning with the Liandry's ticking down. A Pun. Abyssal Dive over the wall will just lick for the win, and overall it is an ace for the side of Cerberus with only 1 member falling.
And I was slightly worried for Cerberus for 1 second there, but then I realized that Pun was definitely up to the task. He decided to go back in with the Abyssal Dive, hit a nice knock up there, and he was also always ready to just land the Devour onto Artemis to get Artemis out of trouble there. So Artemis can just keep kiting there, they can just bait all the engaged tools out of Team 𝘀𝗫. Team 𝘀𝗫 uses the engaged tools, they just really do no effect onto Cerberus at all, because Artemis can also just use his Relentless Pursuit to dash out defensively and just keep kiting them, and like this they just managed to get a clean AC. I mean, not quite clean because they lost 𝘀𝗷, but as I said earlier, 𝘀𝗷 not really having much of an effect on this game overall, and 5-4-0 plus the Baron. It is very risky to take this Baron in this situation, but they are kind of ahead, and they are knowing that they are playing Team 𝘀𝗫. We see Hooklet onto 𝘀𝗀, not much of an effect, and Yone just gets chasing off to the side there. 𝘀𝗃 takes him down, but wasted some time here. They also get Dante down in the meantime, and the turning point comes later on. As here we see, you need to focus on Pun on the 𝘀𝗀, how he plays. Here he just decides to go in and look at Artemis, how offensively he plays this. He has the Nami buff coming out of him, Requiem also coming in, and here we see them with Devour, and Artemis just survives and baits everyone in on the side of Team 𝘀𝗫, and they just get picked apart by Cerberus here.
Oh god, Artemis!
Lucian Nami. Very fun.
That
Strong
is
in lane,
so
skates
lucky
very
for
well.
Dante that there was a wall there. Okay, engage coming through, the Flay defensive,
Boom.
Devour, but it's a double kill for Ego with the Requiem, and still Artemis is alive as the licks are coming through. The pain is being dished out. Death Sentence will not stop the Abyssal Dive because it's not even been started yet. Another tongue of a doom from Pun, and he's still just looking to force Team 𝘀𝗫 out of this. I think this might be the game-ending play as well, 𝘀𝗫. Cerberus looking absolutely dominant over Team 𝘀𝗫. Yes, the starts to each game haven't been the most dominating show, but after 5-10 minutes, it has been all Cerberus completely and utterly showing why they are at the top of the split, why they are yet to lose a series. And against Team 𝘀𝗫, they will not drop a game either. Cerberus will take the win, Cerberus will take the series, and Cerberus will take their 11th straight win of the season, as they just look to quickly pad out their stats a little bit more. Who do they want to take next? I don't know, who wants to join into the menu next? This is just evil.
This is just evil. I mean, you said it pretty well. Team 𝘀𝗫 with some signs of life in the early game, but for Cerberus, not like the cleanest showing, not really a statement towards 𝘀𝗀 either, I would say. Just another day on the job for them. They get the win. They don't really get pressured much, as my camera is dying apparently right now, or some connection issue between Germany and Australia. But either way, Cerberus looked not too clean, but also not too challenged in this game, and they have shown why they are 11-0 now in the standings. And Team Flash, they are now 0-11, but maybe with a better mid game, they can challenge 𝘀𝘀, challenge Team Secret. I mean, Secret they're not playing anymore, but maybe they can get like one series win. Although that remains to be doubtful.
Okay, well, 𝘀𝘀cie, thank you very much for your thoughts. We're going to be jumping back into the analyst desk as 𝘀𝘀cie and 𝘁𝘁𝑚𝑖𝑛𝑜gi rejoin us. 𝘀𝘀cie, I'll go to you first. Cerberus, again, they look dominant. They look to be top dogs, and they're saying we're ready for you, 𝘀𝑠, on Sunday. Oh, you're muted on Discord, by the way.
Sorry. 𝘀𝘀cie summarized the feeling I had already when he said it wasn't really a statement win. And he said it was just not their job, but I think is a really good summary because the win didn't look too clean. I also think that the composition they drafted wasn't really typical for Cerberus for a composition that would work for Cerberus. But in the end, they got the win. They're still undefeated, and they're looking to stay undefeated against 𝘀𝘀 on Sunday, as you said.
And maybe to go to you then and to follow up from this point, because we briefly touched on it, I think, before game one. Do you think this was a series from Cerberus where, let's say they were limit testing, they were trying out new things, or do you think this was a Cerberus that were pushing themselves by playing with their own style and maybe not performing as well as they would have liked?
Yeah, I think it wasn't peak Cerberus coming in with everything to their best ability. We're picking our best picks, our best drafts. I think they were trying a few things out. They went for the Jhin. They wanted to push the focus into the top side, so it's not just 𝘁𝘁 Esports in game one. And in game two, they put 𝘂𝘂 on something of very outside his not general wheelhouse. I tend to think of him as that control mage player, especially, and that's really the Yona is a very new pick for him. So I think they were trying something different out against Flash, and I mean, look, props to Flash. There was very good signs of life from there, and they've just played the two best teams back to back. So maybe coming forward, they can try and snag that win against one of the lesser teams.
And I want to touch back. Actually, let's continue talking about Team Flash because their next series is against 𝘁𝗀𝗵𝗶𝗀. We talk about how they have a very solid, very difficult strength of schedule. They played against 𝘀𝑠hi𝗀 in their final game of last week. This week they've had 𝘀𝑚, they've had Cerberus, and now they've got to play 𝘁𝗀𝗵𝗶𝗀. Do you think they can take a game off Saigon? Do you think they could potentially even take a win?
So Buffalo have been very up and down. I think they could definitely snag a game. I don't necessarily know about a full series. I'm not sure. Again, we need to see if Buffalo are committing to giving Riot more time or if they're going to just stick to Shogun. If they just stick to Shogun, no, I don't think they can grab the series, but I think they could definitely grab a win against a very, very inconsistent Buffalo.
And 𝘁𝘁cie, going back on over to Cerberus, we've now seen a couple of shaky series from them. Their 2-0 against Team Secret was anything but clean. They dropped a game to 𝘀𝑠hi𝗀, albeit a very or very highly performing 𝘀𝑠hi𝗀 in game one. And now they've had this series against Team Flash. I kind of want to get predictions, early predictions for Sunday. Do you think Cerberus can stay undefeated against 𝘀𝑚?
I think that's a very difficult question, and today didn't really give me the feeling that Cerberus was this powerhouse that will just go undefeated. But well, as you correctly said, it might also just be that they tried a few things out with compositions that are usually not what they play usually. So I think the Cerberus we saw today will be completely different to the Cerberus we will see on Sunday. However, I still think that in the last couple games they did struggle, so I would not be surprised if 𝘀𝑚 actually take the series. They might also just take the series 2-0. I'm not quite sure about that one, but I would predict 𝘀𝑚 to win.
Okay, 𝘁𝑚𝑖, your thoughts for Sunday?
I think 𝘀𝑚 individually kind of has that good matchup into Cerberus. I think against the board, Cerberus is still the better team, but if we see them match up properly, 𝘀𝑚 has a very good shot at taking down Cerberus. I think they are strongest where Cerberus are weakest, and generally it comes down to, does Cerberus stall out games very well? If they can stall them out towards the later game, then more and more do I favour Cerberus. But that early game from 𝘀𝑚 should be fairly impressive, and I'm very interested to see the junglers clash. But at this point with 𝘂𝑎 looking very shaky against the Secret and Flash and just sort of wandering around without a care, that is very easily going to be punished by Levi. So I'm leaning 2-1, though I did kind of want to see the undefeated split happen.
Okay, well, you can lean both ways. I think it's multitasking, we can call it. Marvi, Barkley, thank you very much. We're going to be jumping on into a slightly longer break than usual, I think about a 1 hour break. And then when we return, we'll be having our second series of the day as, SBTC Esports take on a GAM. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a short bit.